Hi everyone, good afternoon, good evening. It's just Damian here. I'm at the dentist tomorrow about my tooth, so I don't know how many more stages I'll need to get it back right again, or if it's going to work out because my dentist's changing over to private. So yeah. Basically, I tried making this video earlier on, but I got a phone call when I was trying to make it, and then my dinner was coming, and then I've been watching stuff online on Netflix. Sorry, on my Fire Stick. Netflix on my Fire Stick it is online because it's online streaming. So yeah, I just wanted to make a video about updates, where it's gone wrong, what's what's gone wrong, and why, and and positive vibes. I'm struggling to hear at the moment. I got up before and my ears felt like popping, so they're a bit funny anyway. So now they were all right when I was laid down. But yeah, let's get into it. First of all, I'd like to clarify that there's inconsistencies with the care again, and I just feel like people are trying to push me into making into. I just feel like people are trying to push me into changing my decision back from not wanting to work with the mental health services and that kind of thing. So yeah, it's all against me. It's all pushing against me, and yeah, I'll go into it really. Basically, since agreeing to work with the community mental health again, things have been uh slipping slightly, but it's more things that are out my control. And when I am upset or worried, I get bad thoughts or get chest pain and palpitation because I'm trying to get control of the situation again. So I have been getting a little bit worried about a few things, and a couple of weeks ago, I had been worrying about stuff, getting flashbacks to the way that things had went went wrong with the previous mental health services within my local area, but I'm not open to that anymore. So I'm not open to that anymore, and it gives me chest pain, palpitations. The other week, the other week, so the other week as well, I'd been hoover up in here on a Saturday night, and I got a massive electric shock down my arm, and I'm like, I've never had that before with the chest pain and palpitations, so it felt different. So I'd went to A&E the next day because I couldn't really get an ambulance sent out the on that night, and went to A&E the next day. Ambulance took me in, and I was asked to leave A&E because it had been like Chinese whispers in there, because people had overheard me say patients had overheard me say danger to women, and they put several complaints in because of it. And I'm like, Chinese whispers. So what had happened was, this is the truth. What had happened was, as well, I had been chatting to a lady next to me and a lady in front of me. The lady in front of me, her brother was autistic, and the lady next to me in the waiting area, her son was autistic. Yeah, that way around, I think. Yeah, that way around. So they were saying about how they've been let down in the past. One of them was saying how a brother gets violent and does stuff so that he could get arrested to be safe. So I'm like, I've been like that with overdose and that in the past. I used to overdose because I knew that it put me somewhere safe, or self harm because I knew that it put me somewhere safe. And they were saying, one of them was saying that they're going to need to get a bus pass for the child starting school and that again. And I'm like, why don't you get a companion bus pass? No, why doesn't your child get a companion bus pass for their autism and you support him, so they're going to look into that. However, I did say as well that I have had bad experiences with the crisis team, with the mental health services, because of the fact that they give me the wrong advice. And I had stated that I'd tried ringing the crisis team a few years ago, and that because I and told them that it caused me some anxiety seeing my previous CPN on social media, and I didn't want to break professional boundaries. So I said that I followed their advice, and I'd let the mental health team know, and the matron for the mental health team branded me a danger to women after that. That's all I said. So it was like Chinese whispers. They'd had several complaints in. Then they'd put me asked me to leave, and I got upset. The police found out, and they took me to James Cook. So then at James Cook, they'd asked, uh, so then asked at James Cook what was in my case, because I take a little pink rose gold case with me now when I go to A&E, because in the past, no word of a lie, in the past I've been to A&E and I haven't taken any clothes or anything, and they keep me in. If I take clothes, they don't keep me in, so I'd rather be prepared. I'd rather have clothes, a spare set of clothes for me and not need it than not having it and needing it. So, so instead I've got some shaving stuff in my bag, I've got a razor and that kind of thing. The nurse had checked my bag. The sister in charge of that department had checked the bag and said that we don't need to get security, we don't need to do this, do that. So I told him as well that I've got a hospital passport, which goes into my communication needs. I showed her it and that, and she said they didn't need to read it and that. But I'll get to that bit in a minute. So I went back into the waiting area, and I was struggling to find somewhere to sit because it was getting a bit loud, and there was a lot of patients in there with the police and that kind of thing. So there was a lot of patients, so I didn't feel safe. So I went and walked around where it was quiet. And I got talking to a lady first, and I said, "Are you find me talking to you and that?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And then I went sat chatting to another couple of ladies. Got asked to move from there, but I didn't realise at the time that that lady needed to isolate, and that asked someone else to move as well. So the security came and said that I'd been harassing patients when I hadn't, and that I needed to leave because I had certain things in my bag. So I'd left. I'd left, and I went to Rosebery Park. I'd went to the mental health facility, which I think is called Rosebery Park. I'm not sure. Don't want to give names out or anything fully. So I got upset and traumatized by that, and I'd left, and they got paramedics, the phone paramedics and ambulances and that were chasing me, and then they put me in an ambulance. I'd asked to leave. I didn't want to speak to them, and they were trying to restrain me in the ambulance. And I told them, look, I'm not comfortable talking to men about certain things. And then they put a man in the back, and that made it worse. Went to see the paramedics that night. No, they went to see the crisis team and that kind of thing. And they basically said that they basically said that they were rubbish. They were rubbish. They basically said that if they got any more referrals about me, they'd be going down the criminal justice route, and they'll be telling the police. They're telling the police that they've had they've had referrals, that they've already done an assessment with me and that as well. So I did leave there. I did leave there and ended up walking around Middlesbrough on my own whilst it was dark for a good few hours trying to find somewhere to go and this, and this, but I couldn't really find anywhere. So then I had to get an ambulance to take me back to the hospital. But in both situations, the stuff with the Darlington and the stuff with Middlesbrough, if staff had been aware of my autism needs and aware of my communication needs, I would have, I would have, uh, this would have been avoided. I have paid £75 an hour to get the communication reports and that put in place because it's done by a communication therapist that understands me, who's also autistic. So I found that hard, and yeah, the security came out again and apologised to me before and were a bit more supportive about things, but still had to shut them back. But then I've seen patients go in before with shaving stuff, and I'm like, they don't get security on them. He's got, if you get what I mean. I'm not going to go into that. But yeah, and then I have been getting abuse and hate crime online or in the streets, and I don't appreciate this. Genuinely, I don't don't like being laughed at in public, and don't appreciate people stood over the road having a laugh and filming me, or stopping in the street and taking pictures or filming me. But the police are like, the police are like, the police have told me before, and I've been told by services before, that if I feel threatened or intimidated in public, to contact the police. So Wednesday last week, Wednesday last week, I Wednesday last week, I was walking to my church group, and there was two lads on bikes, about 14 to 16, I'd say, and they were stood over the road, phone out, filming me having a good laugh. Whilst I was reporting that, a guy in a blue BMW had stopped in the road a little bit further down whilst I was walking, put his phone right next to the driver's window, stopped in the road taking pictures of me and that kind of thing. But the police are like, uh, they're not doing anything illegal. They're not doing anything illegal, and it's not illegal. But it is upsetting me because they're having a laugh and they're doing it for intimidation purposes and that kind of thing. There's been times where I've had people reporting me over the slightest thing, over something silly. The police are out straight away and arresting me or giving me a warning. So yeah, that's upset me a bit. And I got told to come home from my church group by the safeguarding officer when all I wanted to do was gather my thoughts and get some fresh air and try to understand what's going on. But because she's a safeguarding officer, I listened to her, and I got home, ran the crisis team. They told me to ring someone else, and they told me to ring someone else, and they told me to ring someone else, who then told me to ring someone else, who then told me to ring 999, who then transferred me to the police, and then the police are like, we're not going to come out, we're not dealing with this, we're aware of it, we're not dealing with this. But then a little bit later on, paramedics were being called out, gave them the same information as what I gave the police. But then paramedics were like round the corner for about 25 minutes waiting for the police to come. So I just find it a bit contradictory in that as well, because the police do state that in these incidents that it's the right point of care and that kind of thing, they're not going to come out. But paramedics were telling them that need to come out. But in the past, I've been more distressed than that. Not in a violent or threatening way, but there've been times where I've been referred to ambulance. I'm trying to cancel the ambulance. I'm telling them, look, I don't need an ambulance. I don't need this. Don't need that. No, I'm like trying to tell them over the phone, I don't need an ambulance. I don't need this, do that. But then the paramedics turn up. I walk away. They're following me. I don't want I want it cancelled and I don't want it. And they were like, phone the police then, the police won't come out. So different, different scenarios, different things. But yeah, it's just a little bit contradictory and that kind of thing. And I still feel that some of the blame's getting passed back onto me. I know that a few weeks ago on that as well, with the hate, I have noticed, sorry, with the hate crime and that it has been getting worse and that as well. And I do like to post on social media about the fact that I've got autism and the journey that I'm on my gender to try to inspire other people and to try to look for love because genuinely, hand on heart, touch wood, I am still a virgin and I've never dated before, so I'm trying to post down unconventional routes that's going to try to help me date and that kind of thing. And I do use AI software to change change my profiles to try to make it stand out a little bit more. What do I need to do here? What do I need to do there? So there has been more abuse, more abuse about that. Um, and a few weeks ago as well, posted online that I'm looking for people to connect with, and someone had posted online that that see me in A&E in December time, and I was giving my address to young lasses, and security had intervened or whatever. To be honest with you, hand on heart, I was in A&E in December, and I was in hospital in December. I did get asked to be removed from the waiting area because I was too ill. I was too ill to be in the waiting area. I couldn't eat. I couldn't. I was struggling to stay awake, and I was wobbly on my feet. I had heart rate of 140 nearly, and a temperature of 38, and at some points nearly 40. So I was kept in for about a week for glandular fever and a weakened immune system. So yeah, and as well with my local A&E, urgent treatment centre and A&E for minors and younger people are separate areas. So I wouldn't really know where to meet people like that, even if I wanted to. I'm like, I know that my nieces and nephews have been into A&E, into A&E before and by ambulance or whatever, but that even I don't know where the children's waiting area is or whatever, and that kind of thing's not like me. I don't I don't go out giving my address to people. I am not confident with dating in that area. When I'm looking for love or when I'm looking for new friends or whatever, it's always done online because I don't have the confidence to talk to people and I'm always scared that I might speak to someone that's underage or whatever. I think the closest thing that I've got to dating or whatever, face to face, was a speed dating event, what I was unsuccessful for. So yeah, I mainly I don't even on dating sites or whatever, don't put my address down because I've had abuse in the I've never given my address down. I know that people have found my address from the past. I know that people have found my address and I've had hate sites made, I've had hate crimes made. But genuinely, I've never given my address to anyone to come round. The only people that come round here, friends, family, emergency services, people that are doing quotes for things, and cleaners. But yeah, a little bit tricky because I'm finding it that people are seeing what I'm posting online and seeing what I'm posting online and taking some of my vulnerabilities and Chinese whispers or whatever and making things worse. But yeah, what am I planning on doing to try to rectify some of these problems? Uh, I my CPN's aware of the ongoing problems and the ongoing the ongoing inconsistency. So is my doctor. The doctor is. I've got an appointment next week with the doctor, face to face, and an appointment. I've got an appointment um with my CPN as well on Friday. This because of the stuff that was going wrong, and because of the stuff that was going wrong, and the delay in getting the face to face put in. We are doing appointments via Teams with my CPN, so that's trying to be sorted. And my doctor gave me a couple of days of diazepam last week. I have put that type of medication in the safe. I've been putting my kitchen knives, the sharp ones especially, in a metal container, just if my anxiety is bad or whatever. But I'm gonna get a better safe thing for the kitchen, hopefully, because the container that I'm using at the moment doesn't seal things properly. But yeah, and I've written a letter to my doctor about explaining the full situation about what's going wrong, why it actually took me 2 hours the other night to type this letter up to my doctor because I'm typing it up and it's not correct, haven't got it to change in AI, trying to tell AI that I want it changing, but sometimes AI is not changing the part that I want correctly, and then I'm having to copy from AI into Word, reword it again in my own words, and then get AI to reword it. So I am trying to get across to my doctor about what I want, but being a bit more specific so that they're not aware that, so that don't think my mental health's deteriorating again. And if my anxiety is bad and that kind of thing, I don't drive as well. So I am taking precautionary measures to put this in place, to put that in place. Having said that, the other night I ran the crisis team, and it was the first time in over a year that finally spot someone that listened to me. Um, I this was on Wednesday night. No, this was on Sunday night, and she listened to me. She gave me she gave me time to express what was going on, and we were chatting over an hour, and that really helped. That really helped, rather than telling me to try the distraction technique straight away. However, Wednesday night, after it had gone wrong the with the abuse that I was getting in public, I'd rang the crisis team and passed on from one person to another. And when I finally got through to speaking to someone correctly, I was like explaining, look, I'm getting passed on from one person to another, and the inconsistencies are getting me more upset and more distressed, and it's contributing more. And they're like trying to tell me to try my distraction techniques, and they didn't want to know anything about the organisation. They were basically telling me that they hadn't contributed to the mental health getting bad as well. So yeah, and it does. But on Sunday night it was totally different. I did contact the complaints line on Sunday just to let them know that I had a better experience, but more as a compliment and that kind of thing. So I am trying to be a bit more proactive and understand what's going wrong, why it's going wrong, and hopefully try to develop some more infrastructure to get some more plans out there to try to meet new people, to try to start the journey that I want. I have As I say, I'm human, I make mistakes, I post on social media that I'm looking for love, I'm looking for support with the gender, I'm looking for support with the autism, but doing it as well. I'm doing it because I'm struggling I'm struggling to find that support, and I'm doing it as well because I don't want other people to feel alone or isolated that are going through similar. So yeah, as I say, it's just a little bit of an update, but yeah, thanks and goodbye.